Welcome back, everyone. We're Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, hardware releases, and the websites by plebes or plebs. Joining us today is the Bitcoin Boomer. He is a Hall of Fame podcaster. We're talking about Gary Leland. We are going to dive into the numbers, though. Let's do it, people.
Number time! Brought to you by Bitcoin 2022. It's going to be the largest Bitcoin conference ever. Take advantage of the link down below for 10% off.
At the time of this recording, the block height is 710,197. The Bitcoin price, 60,070. Chain rewrite days, 747. Total public lightning capacity, 3,239.97. Moscow time, 1664, and blocks to the halving, 129,803. Nico, I got stumped there for a second because I honestly feel like we read that same number for the public lightning capacity yesterday, and I feel like the Bitcoin price was at the same place it was yesterday when we did this. So I'm
going to say the same thing that I said yesterday. Bitcoin's dead. Pack it up. It's over, Phil. We got to go home. It's done. But anyways, I have, you guys know that I signed up for a little Glassnode subscription, and I have something interesting. Again, we don't like to speculate on this channel, but we do like to show you actual data that you could verify yourself. This is called the market value to realize, the market value to realized value ratio. Okay, says it twice. Anyways. And kind of describing what this is, market value to realized value is the ratio between the market cap and realized cap. It gives an indication of when the traded price is below a fair value. So let's check it out, right? And here is 2017, right? Is kind of the top there. Here's the 2013. Here's the 2011. Right now, what's really interesting is here was kind of the top, I would say, before the China ban, 64K, but we hit an all-time high recently, and this is actually lower than it was when we hit the all-time high mid-time in the middle of the year. So very interesting statistic. This is telling me, right, that Bitcoin's fair market value is actually lower than when we hit the all-time high in the middle of the year. Anyways, some little hopium into your veins, guys. Don't read too much into it, but Phil, any thoughts?
I've never seen that metric before in my life.
Me neither, dude.
It's very interesting.
We get from the comments like, use that Glassnode subscription more, and I'm like, okay, let me pick this one and let me read it. But anyways, Phil, let's move on. I suspect that the daily fail, speaking to Gary before we started recording, I suspect that the daily fail is definitely going to be interesting today. But Phil, it's time for
the daily fail. Brought to you by Amber app. Check them out, amber.app. It's Bitcoin made easy. Amber's the easiest way to invest in Bitcoin. The link is down below. I'm sure that after a month, I'm not going to forget.
No.
But for some reason, I forgot about yellow.
Amber, the smart way to stack sats.
This isn't our main fail. We kind of have like two smaller ones, and then our main one is more about a shitcoin. But Joe Weisenthal, at the stalwart, is kind of a shitcoin of Twitter, kind of a shitcoin of the Bitcoin space. Anyways, so he goes on to say this. He goes, "It would be immoral, in my opinion, to have a monetary system that allowed a time traveler from 100 years ago to maintain their purchasing power all that time without having done anything in that time other than store money under a mattress."
Sounds like a socialist.
Yeah, like what kind of bullshit is that? So it sounds immoral that you gave this finite thing that is impossible to get back. That's immoral that you can store your value for your future generations. And he's kind of an idiot. I mean, he has kids. Well, like, what kind of stupidity is that?
So again, we'd like to say, we always say this, guys, we are apolitical on the show. We don't lean left, we don't lean right? But I think that he's looking at it from the wealth redistribution standpoint, right? And, perhaps there's a political leaning in that tweet. But anyways, that's, to be honest with you, like, and I don't use this word lightly, like, that's a psychopathic tweet, man. That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. Right? Because it's like, if you can't maintain your purchasing power, I'm assuming that purchasing power is supposed to be given to someone else. Like, who gets to decide that?
So, but But also what's weird, I'm sorry, I just want to point out also what's weird is that like the work I do today for the dollars I get today in no way empower the previous dollars. Like I don't get his whole framing. Like it doesn't make sense. You should be able to store your value. You can't get your time back. Anyways, it's just ridiculous. And yeah, it was a triggering tweet. I hated it.
Is it time I can come on the show?
Absolutely.
I don't know who this guy is, but he's an idiot. I mean, I don't know who he is.
Joe?
So what does he have a problem with gold? I mean, or is it just the other forms of value? I mean, gold, let's face it. You probably during the days of King Arthur could buy a suit of armor with one gold coin, and today you can buy like a Armani suit or some great suit with one gold coin. So gold holds its value. Is that what he's bitching about? Is gold? Because we know he's not bitching about the dollar, because if you saved that $100 for 100 years, you'd have $2 or something. So I assume he has to be talking about Bitcoin, I guess, since we have the time traveler involved shit. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what this guy's even talking about. What could he be upset again? I need to be taxed with the invisible tax of inflation while I'm not even spending my money, just while I'm saving it. And that's good.
It's absolutely crazy. I think Gary hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I just don't understand why you would not want my $100 to be worth $100 100 years from now. Why you'd want them to be worth $2?
I really think it goes back to what I was saying. Initially is that he this wealth redistribution that again, we don't like to get political on the show, but I would say major parts of Western democracies really believe in this idea of wealth redistribution, and Bitcoin makes it very difficult for that to happen. And also, there's no inflation, right? So you're incentivized to hodl that Bitcoin. You're not even incentivized to spend it, right?
Well, we didn't always have this type of devaluing of the money. So I guess our whole economy during the time America did more than any other country in the world was just a terrible economy that was not fit to be used when we were doing the best, when we were the leading country in the world. But now that our money's not worth shit, we're better, is what he's saying. But I go outside and I don't see it right now, or nor do I see it on the news.
Yeah.
I don't know. And especially like my generation, like you could pull up the next tweet, Phil. I'm just going to finish my thought. But yeah, especially my generation, Gary, like for, and I say this all the time. I said this at the Bitcoin conference. This is Bitcoin or slavery. My generation, the millennial generation, the Zoomer generation, we are so screwed. Y'all
are screwed bad.
We can't afford. If it wasn't for Bitcoin, I wouldn't be able to afford a home. I would essentially be a Russian serf. Right? So Bitcoin is the only option that my generation has for a future. But the dollars is just, it's a catastrophe. Anyways, Phil.
All right. Moving on to the next tweet. Okay, this is just a quick take. We're not going to watch the video from Reason. Okay, that's going to be in the show. It's a 6-minute video, so we're not going to watch it. But the point of this tweet, and of course, Cynthia Loomis is not the fail, of course, but her observation is very interesting. Let's dive into it. A very cool thing about being in the Senate is access to information, anecdotes, and research stripped of big media spin. This unpacking of the spin and clearly presented info on Bitcoin mining and the powerful decentralized network is digital gold. Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
right.
Phil,
we all know we get fed BS.
I think this is a great topic. Do you want to exit out of the screen so we could riff on this a little bit, and then I can put it into gallery view? But yeah, so I look, so to just kind of summarize the video a little bit, Nick Carter and Alex Gladstein did an excellent job, pointing out how the powers that be are using the environmental FUD to go after Bitcoin because the government cannot control it. So that's the excuse. Bitcoin uses too much energy. Bitcoin is wasteful. In the video, it specifically says that for just one Bitcoin transaction, it uses more electricity than one home does in a month. Wording like that. You hear that type of rhetoric from Elizabeth Warren, from the Green New Deal type of people, right? So I think that video was very powerful because it rebuked a lot of those false narratives that a lot of the corporate media has been picking up on. Phil and I, we try to debunk it as much as possible, but Reason, with that blue check mark, has a much bigger audience. So I thought it was a really well done video. Gary, what are your thoughts on all this BS from the media? Like, what's your perspective on it?
Well, I mean, I don't think it takes too long to look at the BS and realize how much of BS it is. I mean, or to break it down into pure BS. For instance, oh my gosh, when people start talking about Bitcoin using up so much money and tearing the world apart, more than a house, more than a city, whatever in the hell they come up, be more than a whole country someday that way, one mining machine uses at the rate they're going. But they never talk about all the energy the banking system uses. That's what gets me the most. I mean, oh my gosh, what do you think those armored cars, which are basically tanks that get 4 miles to the gallon probably, running money all over town cost? Much less the banks running the banks, making money, distributing money. I mean, the banking system, if you take the whole banking system as a whole, it must be using more power than anything on the planet, even the U.S. Army. I mean, the banking system, because it's not just in the United States. The banking system uses that much power. In UK, it uses that. In Germany, I bet it uses that. I bet every civilized nation that has a banking system that's strong uses a ton of electricity to support that banking system. And that's the thing I think Bitcoin is going to save money on. Yeah, maybe it does use electricity, but this product, Bitcoin, is going to save us energy in the long run because the banking system maybe won't be what it is today and it'll use less energy. Or maybe it'll start using Bitcoin in the banking system instead of toting dollars all around. So, I mean, to me, that's the biggest farce of all is when they talk about the energy. But, you've got a lot of people who have a lot of, vested interest. Yes. And then the problem is just like in politics, just like in a lot of things. Some people just listen to sound bites and make all their decisions off sound bites without ever doing 1 inch of research. And that's what those statements are made for those people who don't do any homework.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. And I would say not some people, Gary. I would say most people follow the sound bites. But anyways, Phil,
I'd agree with that.
I think this is gonna be Gary's favorite part. Let's get into the shitcoin fail. Let's dump on that shitcoin, bro.
Right, and this is going to be hilarious, okay? For the people from 2017, you may remember this shitcoin, VET, right? These people, the supply chain tracking token, right? Everybody was like all excited about, oh, we're gonna track the wine bottles and this and that. For some reason, that needs to be money. Like, are you kidding me? All right, yeah, so let's dive into this because guess what? They've upgraded their shitcoin. Here we go. And just in time, right? Just in time for... You'll notice that a lot of these upgrades take place around Bitcoin bull markets. Just saying, right? Nobody upgrades in the dead market. Anyways. All right. Proof-of-Authority 2.0. Okay? VeChain upgrades to Proof-of-Authority 2.0 consensus mechanism. Proof-of-Authority.
That's the signal. That's the signal right there. Even more environmentally friendly. That's it right there, bro.
Yes.
That's it. I
don't even have to read it, okay? You know exactly where we're going. Watch this.
God.
Okay, so here we go, right? It doesn't even matter what I read about the top. Okay, improved, great, wonderful. Like Nico just said, even more environmentally friendly. Here we go. Supply chain tracking network VeChain has just upgraded its consensus mechanism to what it claims is the world's greenest method of verifying blocks on the chain. So, in other words, the scammiest and the most centralized. I digress. Let's continue. Here we go. Proof of authority, or POA, and proof of stake differ from proof of work in that they do not require mining to reach network consensus. POA achieves consensus by verifying users' identities.
Man,
what? WTF is that?
Klaus Schwab.
What is that?
Klaus Schwab called. He's all for this. He's an investor.
Yeah, he loves this. Okay, so while POS does this by staking shitcoins on the network, and yeah, all right, we know how that goes. Okay, here we go. The VeChain network runs. This is great. The VeChain network runs with only 101 nodes. Fewer nodes reduces decentralization, but increases the speed and reliability of the network.
No shit.
I mean, really?
Why not
God.
use PayPal?
We know this. We come from this garbage. This is part of the problem. Okay, here we go.
Are they trying to be the most centralized shitcoin on the internet?
Yeah, that's. I mean, I think it's the hint is in the name. Proof of authority. Proof of authority.
Just wait. This gets dumber. If you didn't think it gets dumber, I'm going to keep reading. It gets dumber. An added advantage is POA is less energy intensive and emits a very low amount of carbon. VeChain suggested that the new upgrade is the world's greenest consensus to drive mass adoption. This is just fluff and garbage. Complete fluff and garbage. The upgrade consists of 3 major components, according to the official announcement. The first is a verifiable randomness function that securely and randomly assigns nodes to produce blocks or process transactions, making them immune to corruption. Are you talking about the 101 nodes? They randomly get assigned to process the transactions? This is somehow makes it immune to corruption? And the 101 nodes we can guarantee aren't owned by the same people or the group of people cohorting. It's legit. It's 101. This is.
It's not 100. It's 101.
Well, if it had been 98, I'd really been damn worried. But those extra 3, I'm feeling pretty comfortable now.
We would have had to stop the show at that point. I mean anyways, we could just pack it in because Bitcoin loses to that.
But right, if they made the thing you're not even thinking about, dudes, if they made it 102, the energy consumption for the environment, it would just destroy the whole thing.
It's true.
It would no longer be the greenest coin because that 102nd one, that's it. I'm sure they did some kind of study, figured out how many nodes they could have before they went over the mark. And that's the way they came with 101 after, that study must have cost them a fortune. Because they did it right. They did it properly.
Of course.
This was scientific.
Klaus Schwab wouldn't approve if it was 102.
No.
Yeah. 101.
Okay. Here we go. We're close to wrapping it up. We're diving into the third component, which is a passive block finality confirmation process. This is great. You're going to like this. This helps ensure new blocks are finalized even if all the nodes in the network are unsynchronized. So you know what that means? That tells you that the central authority pushes through the frickin' transaction whether the nodes agree or not, whether they can agree or not. It's okay. Anyways, here we go. Wrapping it up, the VeChain team explained in the announcement that the POA 2.0 secure use case adaptive, relatively fork-free approach of chain extension, or in brackets, surface, is needed to meet the demands of future blockchain applications and increasing global demand. Okay, let me tell you, when you say demand twice in the same sentence, I know, because we've all had to write essays. Okay, like that tells you that you don't have enough words, so you need extra words, so you're using the same words. But anyways, besides all that, Nico,
that was like the biggest pile of shit I've ever heard. I mean, really, not you. I mean, what you read.
Oh no, it's okay.
I didn't want you to think your remarks were. I mean,
that was a heaping pile of shit, Phil. I don't know. Look. Okay, because Gary, I'm sure you saw this on Twitter. The world coin with the fucking orb.
Oh yeah, does your eye retina scan?
I don't know whether this is worse or that because Phil, that wasn't just shit, bro. That was dinosaur shit. That was.
That is one big pile of shit.
But
dude. This is, you could have a new segment, biggest the shit of the week. I mean, and then one could be the double ply winner, the single ply,
Yeah, it's true. Hey, Phil, we could determine the level of shit of the shit coin.
We're gonna have to give Gary creds for this every time we do.
One can see either a folder or a scruncher. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do.
Is it a Chihuahua shit? Is it horse shit? Or is it dinosaur shit?
Yeah.
Boom, bro. Gary.
It could be a prehistoric horse. I mean, you got it all covered.
History right now as we speak, Gary.
Wow.
That's. I mean, we're gonna do it. That's amazing.
We just got a new rating system.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I'm glad I can
a rating system for the shit for the fail.
Rating
I can
system
be
for the
involved in it.
shitcoin. Awesome.
Brought to you by Gary Leland.
Brought to you by Gary Leland and BitBlock Boom.
Because we like to be kind of hooked up and thought of every time people think about shit.
No, let's not do that. Okay, no, we talked about this now.
We take it back. We take it back.
We'll give you maybe creds in the show notes then.
Okay.
We'll do the. So people don't do that. No, we do not want to associate Gary with that. He's a Bitcoiner. We're not associating him with the shitcoins. That's not what's happening here. How did that happen? That's ridiculous.
No. But you know what? He came up with a rating system to highlight how shit the shitcoins are.
Yes,
You
that
see?
was the plan. That was the plan.
That
But you know,
was-
I was telling you in the pre-show, whenever I tell a shitcoiner they can't come to BitBlock Boom, they always go, but I have Ethereum. Certainly, that's not a shitcoin. Now they're going to switch that to certainly VeChain is not a shitcoin because it has the proof of authority.
Proof of authority.
Yeah.
That's fucking terrifying.
And with that, it can't be a shitcoin.
Oh my god.
It has the authority.
It has the authority. But anyways, Phil, it's time for the Daily Meme Review. Brought to you by Citadel 21. It's the best Bitcoin cultural zine. It's pure pleb signal. Get yourself a physical copy. This is volume 8 and volume 9. There's scarce. There's only 1,000 made per volume. Get your copy of Citadel 21 today. All right, everybody. The first meme is brought to us by fellow YouTuber, Pubby of Toxic Happy Hour. Definitely go check it out. Anyways, so who wants to tell one? Who wants to tell them? But what about my shitcoin? Sorry, kid. It's a security. Absolutely hilarious. Moving on to the next one. This is Greg Zag. It's William Dafoe, class of 2016. Circa 2021. This is what the bear markets do to you. You see, Nico didn't have a beard in 2016. Nico has a beard now. They toughen you up. Moving on to the next one. This is by BTC Sessions. Hashtag the next Bitcoin. And it's just all the shitcoin. Is Tron going to be the next Bitcoin? Here's why Ethereum is the next Bitcoin. What is the next Bitcoin? There's so many. 7 cryptocurrencies under $2 that could be the next Bitcoin. Forbes, Ripple could be the next Bitcoin. Here's why Cardano's the next Bitcoin. Wow, dude. So many. And this is how awesome the mainstream media is. And last but not least, we got a meme from Bitcoin Taliban. Quote, Bitcoin could go sideways for 8 years. Many are not happy with their return. Shut up already. 10% dip. 2,000,000% increase in the last 10 years. Absolutely hilarious. Incredible memes. And for those incredible memes, Phil, I'm going to give it my Crypto Cloaks hoodie. Woo! What about you, Phil? What are you going to give those memes?
Okay. I dug some more stuff out of my office stuff. So I came somewhat prepared. Here we go. Love them all. Don't want to give it away. No, you're not going to see until you see it, but boom. It is a light up lightning thingy madilly.
Wait, you have that at your office?
I had this, yeah. This was in my cube.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it you plug it in, it's it lights up, you plug it in, USB powered, and it's the lightning logo.
That's cool. I like it.
That's what they get. They get the lightning logo.
What about you, Gary? What would you give those memes?
Well, I'm going to give the a push on the badass button. You never know what the badass button's going to say, though. That's the problem. So we'll find out right now.
You can do it!
I don't know what that means with this, but I guess they could do better. But I thought they were pretty damn good.
Man, that was top 10 score ever.
We've never had a badass button. That's awesome.
Badass button. I kind of want a badass button.
My daughter gave me
badass
this
button.
for Christmas like 10 years ago. I'm surprised the batteries still work.
You have an amazing daughter, Gary. Wow.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
awesome.
Okay.
Great sense of humor too. That's sweet.
Awesome scores. Anyways, guys, we want to know, do you agree with our scores? Do you disagree? Let us know. No, you can't disagree with our fucking scores. That score
Of course they
was
can.
amazing.
They can do whatever they want.
No, man, that badass button, that was phenomenal. Anyways, if you still disagree, just let us know down in the comments. And of course, join our Telegram group and link us some Bitcoin memes to review because of Bitcoin meme review. Review memes because it's Bitcoin meme review. But anyways, Phil, it's time for the daily news. brought to you by CryptoCloaks.com. Get yourself the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch, like the Bitcoin 3D printed Bitcoin art grenade and the honey badger, 3D printed honey badger. And you can put a cold card inside. Really cool stuff. Take advantage of the link down below for 5% off CryptoCloaks.com. All right, guys, we covered this yesterday. We had the CEO of Luxor Pool. We wanted to get his, input in this, and now we have the creator of BitBlock Boom, the Bitcoin conference, the most maximalist Bitcoin conference, and we want to get his opinion on this, on essentially what's going on with the infrastructure bill. And it looks like there are senators trying to fix it, and those senators are Senator Wyden and Senator Cynthia Lummis, right? We covered this yesterday on yesterday's show, so I'm not going to repeat it. But what I thought was really badass, and I know that Gary's going to appreciate this, don't mess with Texas. Senator Ted Cruz, he didn't even want to amend the infrastructure bill. He just wanted it to take it out completely. And just to kind of read what I read yesterday, Senator Ted Cruz introduces legislation to repeal infrastructure bill's devastating attack on emerging Bitcoin and shitcoin industry. And he says the Lone Star State has quickly emerged as the main hub for the Bitcoin and shitcoin industry, and that exciting industry is now in danger of being stifled and driven overseas by an overreaching provision in the newly signed reckless spending bill. As a deliberate body, the Senate should have done its job and held hearings to properly understand the consequences of legislation on this emerging industry before we risk the livelihoods and privacy of participating Americans. I urge my colleagues in the Senate to repeal this harmful language that will create regulatory uncertainty and turn it in an unnecessary barrier to innovation. Ted Cruz for president 2024. That's what I have to say about that. But yeah, man, look, Gary, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on the whole infrastructure bill debacle? We know that the Treasury snuck it in on purpose. We had Senator Cynthia Lummis said that in the past. We played a video of it yesterday, right? So what are your thoughts on this whole infrastructure bill? Do you think they're going to rectify it? Our suspicion is that they're not going to. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I think her name is Lummis, like hummus.
I apologize. English is like my third language.
Well, that's what she told me, so I'm just going with that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And I think, if I'm correct, that Jimmy Song orange pilled Ted Cruz. He's the one that orange pilled Ted Cruz, if I'm correct. So I was there when he announced that he had bought his first Bitcoin. So, they tried to get the language changed before this bill was voted on.
Yes.
And if my recollection is correct, then they weren't able to. So I don't know if they're going to be able to do anything now about it or not. And it's kind of a weird, just the fact that it's out there in the world, that there's something in there messing up that could possibly mess up more so cryptocurrency to me than Bitcoin, causes issues. I had a guy at the counter at a conference. I said at a conference this weekend, and the guy came up and said, "What is that badge? What is that conference?" I said, "Well, it's about Bitcoin and stuff." He goes, "Well, doesn't everybody know that shit's going down the toilet because of the new laws?" And I said, "Man, you don't even know what the hell you're talking about, dude." And he kept going on about it. I said, "Man, you're damn an idiot." And I thought he was going to jump on me. But I think it's a perfect example of how this has caused people to be concerned about something they really don't need to be concerned about that much, at least in the Bitcoin world. I guess they could screw with exchanges like Coinbase and stuff, but how's this all going to screw with you paying taxes? If you're just hodling, it isn't.
So what we've always said on the show, Gary, is that if it doesn't have sufficient, and Satoshi actually said this, and I'll pull up his actual quote, if it doesn't have sufficient amount of decentralization, the government is going to be able to shut it down.
Yes. And
that is the case with everything except for Bitcoin, right?
Exactly. I think they can walk into XRP's offices and say, turn it off. But that is kind of a thought that they didn't get shut down. If you can't shut down that shitcoin, you can never shut down Bitcoin. Not that you could anyway, but that's just more proof that Bitcoin can never be shut down. But I don't think that's going to get pulled out of there. I think it's in there now. Maybe if the Republicans win the House and Senate, they can do something about it in another year and a half. But I think right now that's in there. But I don't see a lot happening in the year and a half. Yeah. So I don't think it's a big concern.
I agree. It doesn't affect you if you hodl, and if you're a Bitcoiner, you
If you're a
mine,
Bitcoiner, you're probably hodling.
yeah, you're mining fiat, you're dumping that fiat, and you're getting Bitcoin. Just repeat that process over and over again. What are your thoughts on this, Phil?
They were telling shitcoiners this back in 2017. I mean, I remember this. Everybody was talking about even back then. Like, look, if you're trading shitcoins and you're sitting on exchanges and you're doing this, like, at some point the government's going to come after you. And everyone's sitting there going, "Oh no, it's the Wild West. They're never going to come after us. This and that." And it's like, really? These are all, this is what we said before, right? And this is what you said before, Nico. It doesn't have sufficient decentralization. So either what happens? You either become one of the many arms of the government, right? Or you're sufficiently decentralized and they hate you and they're scared of you and they get all these puppets to come out and create ESG narratives to try to destroy you.
Absolutely. And we've shown the receipts. Like, the majority of Ethereum nodes run on AWS servers, meaning Ethereum is run by Jeff Bezos.
Oh, wow.
And
we actually had a Bitcoiner on that used to mine Ethereum and told us straight up exactly how it worked and everything. So it was fantastic. But he's a Bitcoin only now.
If you remember, put the politics aside, if you remember January 6th, right, what happened to that app called Parler that was run on AWS servers? It happened to get on the wrong side of the government, right? And what happened to that? Shut down. So what happens if Ethereum gets on the wrong side of the government? What happens if Bitcoin gets on the wrong side of the government? Pound sand. But anyways, moving on. Before we cover BitBlock Boom, I saw this article and I had to cover it, Phil, because there is so much signal here. Okay, there's a lot of noise, right? Which is, what the fuck does this have to do with Bitcoin? Just bear with me 1 second, okay? So this is from the Wall Street Journal, right? A mainstream media publication. Retirement fund giant CalPERS votes to use leverage and more alternative assets. Now, here's the signal, right? We scroll down. The board of the nation's largest pension fund voted Monday to use borrowed money and alternative assets to meet its investment return target, even after lowering that target just a few months ago. The move by the 495, that's a lot of money, 495 billion California public employment retirement system reflects that the dimming prospects for safe publicly traded investments by households and institutions alike sets a tone for increased risk-taking by pension funds around the country. You know why? Because fiat is slowly stealing from you. But here's the signal, Phil. Here's the signal. Without changes, CalPERS said its current asset mix would produce 20-year returns of 6.2%, short of both the 7% target the fund started in 2021, with the 6.8 target implemented over the summer. Now, I want you to focus on this number. 6.2, okay? This just came out a couple days ago. Inflation jumped to 6.2% in October, biggest monthly rise in 30 years. That means that California big pension fund, you know what their actual return rate is?
They
Zero.
just stand still.
Standing still.
Hey, that guy ought to be pissed off
gosh.
about that. That was pissed off about the 100-year deal.
And you know what fixes this? Bitcoin fixes this. Why invest in a pension fund? Why trust other people with your money that are getting you a measly 6.2% that's not beating inflation, where you could literally take self-custody of your own future, take your financial sovereignty back into your own hands, and pretty much guarantee you that you're going to get a much better return than a 6.2%. So yeah, man, this is Phil, what we've been saying. This is absolute clown world. Phil, what are your thoughts? And then we'll get Gary's.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. Really, like that's just completely insane. I mean, those pension funds are absolutely massive, and you just pointed out they're getting zero. There is absolutely no point in investing in that. You know what? This is really interesting, though, because it's zero now. What do you think happens next year and the year after? So let's just kind of, we'll extrapolate out. And let's just say in 5 years, those funds are now losing against inflation. So now you're putting money in and you're losing your purchasing power going into the future. I don't think they were expecting this.
Not at all. What are your thoughts on this, Gary? When you see this, what are your feelings?
Well, I don't have much feelings on that. I feel sad for the people whose money's tied up there and they're not making anything. Think about it for a second. The 6.2 that they lowered it down, they want to make, that's probably a realistic number of what they want to make. That probably is truly a number they would like to make. But when you go to your second image or your second page, it showed the inflation rate of 6.2%. That's not a true number. That is a rigged number. If you were to use the number or the charting method or whatever you want to call it that they used 30 years ago for figuring out inflation, I bet it would be 10 or 12% because they've tweaked that number over the last 20, 30 years and gotten things out that they don't use in inflation anymore, in calculating inflation that they used to. My God, for rents, for instance, they're out of the moon. I don't know if those are counted on. I don't know off the top of my head what is counted and what's not, but I know the numbers that they use today are way lower than the numbers they used 20 years ago. So those numbers that they used 20 years ago are way more realistic. So that means those people are actually losing money now, not as soon as it changes. They're already losing money because 6.2% is not a really true picture of what the inflation rate is. And everybody knows that. But the government doesn't. I think sometimes they just don't want to tell us that because they have to pay all the employees and all the Social Security and everybody. It's all based off of inflation. So they have to give them all raises. So for every point that goes up, it costs them a fortune. So they give you the real number. Oh my gosh, it costs them another $10 billion or $1 trillion, which they don't seem to mind, but they just don't want to do it, I guess, because then you'd have too much money and you wouldn't be dependent on them.
You're absolutely right, and that's just a terrifying thought, Gary. And you're spot on with the CPI metric because they conveniently leave out the two things that people spend the most money on: food and energy. Right, so gas prices not on there, energy costs not on there, food not on there, right? Yeah. And those are the things. If you actually look at the costs of those two things in the last year alone, they've gone up like 20, 30, 40%.
Yeah, so that could skew it up to 10%, maybe even.
Exactly, but Saylor says the real rate of inflation is 20 to 15%, right? So it's like I feel so bad, and that's so much money, and it's just constantly being drained, and these people are working, they're putting their hard-earned, time and energy into this work, and they don't have a retirement. That's a catastrophe.
It's hard to believe that with that much money too, that's the best return they could hope to get, 6.2%. But I think you're not talking $100, $1,000. What was it, 500 billion?
Yeah, around 500 billion.
Yeah, and that's the best they could hope to get.
It's sad, but hey, you know what? Bitcoin fixes this. Anyways, to wrap up the news segment, I want to talk about Gary's BitBlock Boom, and they have a huge announcement. Guess what? Guess who's going to BitBlock Boom? The legendary, not Jack Mallers, Jack Ballers. So this was really cool. You released a video about it. Super cool. He's going to be a keynote speaker at BitBlock Boom 2022. Get your tickets soon, though, because the price does go up. Let me pull it up. The price goes up in 13 days. Get your tickets now to BitBlock Boom. It's going to be in August 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th. I didn't go last year, but I went the year before. It was amazing. Definitely get a room at the hotel of the event. Super cool, and I just want to highlight this part before I get Gary's thoughts. This is not a shitcoin or blockchain event.
No, matter of fact, I think I sent like $10,000 back to someone last week that bought a sponsorship, because I allow people to buy sponsorships online. They can just buy them online, but I review them and I go, and it says don't even bother in this shit if you're a shitcoiner, because I'm going to send you back your money. And like every fifth, sixth person, some shitcoiner buying a sponsorship. And I have to look and when I say, send a message, I sent you back your money because you're a shitcoiner and you're against the rules. I said, I know, I just thought I'd try. They always know it. They try.
They tried anyway.
I guess they think they'll get squeaked by and I won't catch them or whatever. But I do want to go over another thing for people who've already bought their tickets. They do need to get their hotel room right away, because the hotel is smaller this size and room size, and it's going to sell out. So I hate someone to go, oh, I bought my ticket back in November, but I don't have a room. And, we ran out of room in February or something. So go to bitblockboom.com/hotel. And another tip, if you know you're coming, but you haven't bought your ticket yet, because maybe you're like saving up for it or something, or you're waiting for Bitcoin to hit 100,000 so you can use Bitcoin, whatever reason, I would go reserve my room, because you don't pay for it till like 2 weeks before the event. You know, so you might as well, if you know you're going, go ahead and reserve your room because that didn't cost you jack. You know.
Absolutely. And look, guys, you know the drill, right? We only invite CEOs or organizers of products or events that we have personally used ourselves, right? So I've been to BitBlock Boom personally. Amazing conference, had a great time. I couldn't go this year, unfortunately, because have to keep going with Simply Bitcoin and it's hard to travel. It's actually pretty funny, Gary. I was filming Simply Bitcoin at BitBlock Boom a year ago, so not this year, and I brought my green screen to the hotel and I was filming it while at the hotel at the conference. But super
well, you know,
cool.
That conference may go down in history. You know, that conference made us the longest continuous running Bitcoin conference in the world because no one else had one that year because of COVID. I'm not saying we're the oldest, the longest running. So I'm pulling out my claim there, and I'm taking advantage of that. The longest running Bitcoin conference.
And I might add, again, just to specify YouTube, okay, follow the mask laws in your state, okay? After the disclosure, okay? In Texas, they didn't have those. So, at that conference, right, and it was in the middle of the pandemic, no one was wearing a mask. It was a freedom conference, man. And that's what you felt. That was the energy there. Really recommend it. Really cool stuff. Gary, before we wrap it up, do you wanna drop a little bit of hints or any secrets to the audience?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you spoke of Senator Lemus a minute ago. I think she's locked in. We're just waiting for the Senate schedule to come out now. So she can tell people and you can ask her one-on-one. That's the great thing about BitBlock Boom. I only give people 5 minutes for questions because they're there all day. Just go ask them later. We don't have to have them up on the stage for an hour. We can get a whole nother speaker in. So I feel pretty confident she's going to be there unless there's something unexpected on the Senate schedule. She'll be there. And we have some other speakers. I'm not that confident. I haven't locked down enough yet. But everybody should just go look at the lineup. I tried to create the kind of conference I want to go to, not the kind of conference I've been to. And I think it shows because everybody who goes always has good things to say.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. It is definitely a maxi conference to the fullest extent. Yeah. And you heard it here. Senator Cynthia Lummis, almost 99% confirms going to speak at this year's BitBlock Boom conference. Get your tickets now. But anyways, Phil, there was an open source software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. Store your seed in the cipher wheel. Fireproof, waterproof, pet-proof, tamper-evident. The link is down below in the show notes, ciphersafe.io. All right, we've got fully noted version 0.2.30 that was released. It's down below. Lots of great features. Check it out.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right, guys, that was our show. Before we go, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to subscribe to us on rumble.com in case YouTube goes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, all the major platforms. And of course, I want to give a special shout out to our legendary guest, the Bitcoin boomer, Gary Leland. You can go follow him at Gary Leland. He is the Hall of Fame podcaster. He is the organizer of the BitBlock Boom. Definitely get your tickets. Definitely give this man a follow. And guys, you know what to do. If you enjoyed the show, smash that like button. And of course, if you want to continue hearing the Bitcoin news from the bleep perspective and the catastrophic fails from the shitcoiners, definitely consider subscribing. And we'll see you tomorrow, guys, for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.
The ice cube's melting faster.